One of the more powerful features of DashboardFox is the ability to do data blending or to combine data from different databases and data sources into a common set. Uh, Under the Composer, there's a feature called Link Documents, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do both joins and unions in this video. And the key is, if we're going to combine data from two different data sources, we need to have two reports already saved and created for that purpose. To speed up this video, I've gone into my private library and saved a couple of reports that we can use for this, and these reports were created using the techniques that we've already talked about in prior videos in this series. Let's do a union first. Oh, actually, let's do a join first, because that's going to be probably the most common type of data blending that you do. The use case, I've got one sales database, and I have a report that's showing me the sales by month. So I've got sales, and I've got January through December as my month name. And I've got the number of tickets coming out of the help desk system. Completely different database, completely different report, but I've got a common field between the two reports, and that's the key thing that you're going to need if you want to join reports together is a unique and common field. In this case, the month name, and I've got number of tickets in this report. The end result of joining these two reports together is I'm going to have one report where I'll have a column for number of tickets by month, and I'll also have a column that represents the total sales by month coming from two different databases all in one report. In your environment, instead of by month, you might do this by client ID. You have a client ID in two different databases, maybe an asset number, maybe a ticket number. Anything that can connect the data together, you can use this process for. Now, to start, I'm going to take one of my reports, and I'll do the tickets by month in this case, and I'm going to edit it and bring that back into my builder. So the starting point is to have your two reports saved, bring one of those back into the system, and under actions, we're going to go to link documents. So this is my ticket report, so I'm going to link it with the sales report. You'll see document linking allows me to join or union. We're going to join in this case. I'll add new. It's going to ask me which report do I want to connect it with, in this case sales by month, and what type of connection do I want. We're going to do a join in this first example. Now when I join, I'm essentially picking those fields that have that unique relationship between the two reports. Month name in this case, and you'll see I'll have all the fields represented, but I'll pick month name. And then my join type controls the way this data blending will operate. Generally a left join is fine, but if you only want to bring in the fields that are the same in both reports, that's an inner join. If you want to bring fields that don't have a match in either report, that's the full outer. I'm going to stick with left join in this case and hit finish. Now you'll see I could repeat that process and add more joins, but just keep in mind DashboardFox is going to run each report individually, bring that data back and blend it in memory. So the more you add, the more time it's going to take to execute the report. So you want to do this for very specific use cases. Now I'm going to hit X to get out of this screen, and you'll see that it's going to now try to run that report and give me an error in my preview panel. We have to save this report before we can do the full execution of it. Now there's two options you have as you save this document. You can overwrite your existing, but keep in mind we started from the ticket by month report. So if I overwrite that, I'm modifying that original report. That could be perfectly acceptable, and you can proceed with that option. As a best practice, I like to save this report as a new creation and give it a name such as tickets and sales by month. I'll go ahead and do that and save it in that same folder. Now, one important thing to note that if you start to share this report, put it on dashboards, move it or copy it or anything like that, the viewer of the report, and you'll notice now it's rendering and it's showing me by month. I have a column for tickets and a column for sales. When you share this report, you have to make sure that the user has permission to not only this report we just saved, but also those two source reports that we built this report from, which would be the sales by month and the ticket by month. So you want to move them all, have them in a common place, have permissions set appropriately, and do all the things that we've talked about in past videos. But now I have a common data set between these two reports, and I can go in and start to create a visualization. I can use this as a source report in the advanced app, so we can create formulas and do things on this data set. So there's a lot of power we can do. Now let's go back and look at union. Let's go back to our documents. and take a look at the two reports that we have for a union. Now, the difference between a join and a union, join essentially adds extra columns to your combined report. What a union is going to do is add extra rows. So if I look at my support customer report, this is a report of all the customers in our support ticket database. So this is coming from the help desk, and I've got three columns: the company name, the first name, and the last name. And you'll notice I've got about 2020 records in our help desk system. Then I've got a report called sales customers. Let's run that one, and you'll see the columns are the same: customer name, first name, last name. I've got about 2,800 records here. So they're coming from two different databases, but they have similar data. And what we essentially want to do when we union this together is to make one common report between both systems to show me all the customers and all the first names and the last names. This report I probably could have done a select distinct because I'm getting a lot of extras here, but we'll fix that at a later time. So same process. I'm going to edit the report, one of the reports. I'm going to have both reports created. I'm going to edit one of them to bring them into the composer. I'm going to go to actions, and this is the support one. I'm going to link documents, and I'm going to select, in this case, the other report that I want to join, which is my sales customers. And this time I'm going to select union as my link type. And it's a slightly different process, but essentially we want to go through every column in that report and map it to the corresponding column in the other report. In this case, this is your data type. These are text fields, so character is appropriate. But if it was numeric or dates or things like that, we would pick the proper data type. And I'm going to repeat this process for first name and last name. So I'm doing a mapping process for the union. I'll hit finish. I could again repeat the process. I'll just union two reports. And now you'll see this one actually will display in the preview, but what I'm going to do is, just as a best practice, save this as a new document called all customers in this case, and I'll put it in that same folder, and we'll run it full screen just to see that it added them all together. And that's the concept of a union. It's not adding extra columns, but it's going to append that row so that you have a combination of both those database systems in one. So if I run this, you'll see now I'm all the way up to about 4,843, which is a combination of the two individual and separate reports. Again, I can now use this in any sort of ways, but if I were to move it or put it on a dashboard or share it, I've got to make sure that the viewer of that report also has permission to view the underlying reports as well. If you do have any questions about this process, just go to support.dashboardfox.com and post a question.